What is happening, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of Beats, Banter and Beyond. And this week we've got the legend himself, Mr. Kutski, in the house.
Hello. How's it going?
Welcome,
thanks.
John. Thank you for joining us. We
thanks
really
for-
do appreciate it.
We do appreciate it. 18-year-old me would be buzzing.
I know.
Right now, like.
It is.
I'd be
I
sitting.
feel flattered. It's a nice studio you guys have got going in here, isn't it? It's
Thank
all right.
you.
Thank you.
I was saying I was expecting it to be like, just a backdrop. You go there and it's just an old,
An old
Dell
green screen.
computer from 2010. Like,
But he's worked hard on this. Like, this used to just be a garage. He got that wall bricked up, and it's just been slowly but surely built up over the last
years, yeah.
What? How long? 6-7 years.
6-7 years, But no, this is where we live. Like we live in here every day. This is where we work. It's,
Yeah.
You have to feel good, I feel.
yeah. So someone's like told me once and they said it's not. You don't need a big studio to write big tunes, and they're like, but you need to be somewhere that you feel creative.
Yeah. I was talking to Billy about that. Billy Gillies actually, and he's just flying about on the laptop. And yes, I could do that there, but seeing him here,
You're in your zone.
It's
the no windows and no nothing. It's like going to the IKEA. You're just trapped. Then, like the amount of times
You
you
will
come in
write
here,
on YouTube.
Yeah, you come in here and the sun's shining out there, and you go out for a few smokes or whatever, and then you come back in, and then you open the door and it's pitch black, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Fuck, we've been here for quite some time.
What happened to the day?
So, how's things anyway? You're over in Belfast to play in the Bat tonight?
I am, yeah, good. So it's I'm happy to be invited round. I was just saying before about how, like, everyone thinks it's like DJs are rock and roll. Maybe other DJs are, I don't know. But it's like, my kind of thing is like sometimes when I'm travelling on my own, it's like if you get in a little bit too early in the hotel, it's nice to have a bit of time to chill and relax.
Yeah.
But then as time starts creeping on and you're just watching YouTube on your laptop and you're getting a little bit more, you start to like, you feel your energy levels can drain down a little bit. And then sometimes before you go to the club, like, it can be like a shell shock. You feel like your body's gone into get ready to go to bed
You're just
Are you a
thrown into
napper?
this light
Are you a
atmosphere.
napper? Would you nap?
I try not to be honest, because I always feel worse after.
Yeah.
The only time I do it is if I'm travelling internationally, when I know it's just a case of adding all together the hours is important for not completely ruining your body. And I know I might feel worse after an hour's sleep, but I need that hour's
In the
rest.
long run, it's going to be beneficial.
But I mean, generally on a thing like tonight, it's like, if I'm just flying in, it's like I'd try not to nap. But then it's like, is that thing that you feel yourself slowly drift down, then you don't want to make the mistake of
you're watching that boring Saturday night TV and you're like, I could definitely just have a week up here.
Especially when you got kids and you're used to getting up early and going to bed early. Like.
I've done it loads, like where I've been sitting in a hotel room and then notice myself nodding off, but it ruins my whole night whenever I do it. Like, so I would advise against it.
Yeah, disco naps.
It's all right if you're partying.
Yeah,
I know the party days are long.
If you've got something to wake you up at the other side of it, then it might
See,
not be
I'm good until I get there, but see, coming home the next day, I will sleep in the car, I'll sleep in the airport, I'll sleep in the plane. I hate sleeping on planes. I will sleep every chance that I get, and he gives me grief for it. I was like, but man, I've been awake a lot longer now. I just need to get to sleep now.
Getting them hours in wherever you can,
I know, and you're the same. Like, see, playing hard music, especially in the UK scene, like, we're always graveyard shift. So it's like as late as possible. Like, it's not good.
Yeah.
What's it like when you go to like America and Australia? Are they opening hours? Because I know they have different drinking laws and all that there. Like, would you get the graveyard shifts, or would you get nicer?
It depends really, because the good thing about America is like it's getting more and more like this around the rest of the world. But I used to love it when I first started going out there about like maybe 15 years ago or something. Is they'd have a happy hardcore DJ on after a drum and bass DJ, after a hard house DJ, after a gabba DJ, and it didn't matter.
There's no sort of progression. It's just everyone
But the thing
loved
is it's like it didn't kill the vibe if someone went on playing 140 BPM after somebody had been playing 170. The crowd just kind of reset and carried on. Whereas over here it'd be kind of like,
what are you doing?
Zap the energy out the room.
Yeah.
Like, but but then now everybody's finishing their sets at 200 BPM. Kind of everybody's getting used to it. So it's like you've got to do the reset with it. But that was always good.
That a few times.
I know. That's it. But I don't know.
But that's a nice way to be, actually, because I think it's not pretentious is probably not the best word, but because of sort of the way the scene has always been here in Holland, that's the expectation of it. It's you start slower and you gradually work your way up into the modern music. Whereas if you can go into a scene that's just started and their norm is just play whatever, whenever,
mayhem,
then that's a lot more free for you to do.
Yeah.
Even for lineups and stuff, then you're not very limited to, I can't have them because they're on. It's like, just whatever you can do.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of, it is one of those things that it's like, I remember first time I was going out there, it's like I was playing on after somebody that was playing like, kind of like really like EDM-y, housey, electro
Yeah.
stuff. And I was like, do I need to like pick up from here? And I was like, should I kind of like play a couple of things to warm them into it, like, to take over? And I was like, fuck it, I'll just lamp it out, and everyone's just having it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, and I'm banging it out at the end of it, and it's like, going crazy, and it's like, I don't know, 190 BPM or something. And I'm saying to the guy that's on next to me, I'm like, what do you play? And he's like, trap. I'm like, oh, sorry, brother, do you want me to bring it down? He's like, what? And it's like, then he goes on, he's playing trap, and everyone's going crazy for that. And
That's class.
yeah.
That would actually be a good way to do. We were actually talking about this and trying to think of different ways to make the scene more appealing to try and bring it back. And I was thinking daytime raves. Because see if you get...
That's such an old man thing to say, and I'm all about that, man.
Well, no,
book
like,
me for your Thursday time.
Hear me out
5
here.
o'clock closing set.
Especially, I don't know what it's like in other places, but especially here, you can't get taxis anymore. Everything's dear as fuck, and no one wants a hangover the next day. But if you day drink, you've got enough time to get a taxi before everybody else in Belfast has got their taxi, or you can fuck off out and have an after party somewhere else. It's up to you.
It's a good call, because one of my favourite nights to play down in London's called Sinistry, and that's that's on in the afternoon. And
I didn't know that was now.
I seen Fabric the other day. I think Jordan Suckley and all was on. It was like all trance acts, and it started at 2 and ended at 8.
Yeah. Same as Sinistry with
Fabric.
that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that's what it was.
Yeah.
Stole my idea, bastards.
But the good thing about that, though, is because as well, like, you don't have to worry about getting such expensive venue hire at night, because obviously the reason why it finishes at like 8 or 9 is they'll close for an hour, turn it round, and it can be a rock club later, or it can be a techno club later, whatever.
Yeah.
So you can get it in the day, you're going to get it cheaper, and people,
They can
kind
double
of...
their income.
Yeah, and it's like, and people that are into hard music tend to be pretty dedicated, where they're going to go whenever, whenever the event's on. Whereas, if you've just got a casual walk-up Sharon and Tracy type club, like in the like night, that people aren't going to go out for that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
You're waiting for the stragglers to come past.
It's passing traffic, you know. Whereas with a specialist music scene, it's a good idea, to be honest. And then you look at, I remember the first time I played at DEF CON, it was way back in like 2006 or something, and it's like, and I was watching like the show with the fireworks at about 11 o'clock at night, and then all the music went off. I was like, oh shit, have they had a power cut? And I was like looking around, I was like, everyone's walking away. And I was like, wait, it'll come back on in a minute. And I'm used to playing like at Creamfields and places like this that went on till 5 or 6 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like all UK festivals went on till 5 or 6 in the morning back then. What was it? Gatecrasher Summer Sound System. What was the God's Kitchen one? Global Gathering, was it?
Not Pseudomental.
Yeah. There was like so many of them. They were all like all night festivals and stuff, and then I was in Holland, I was like, how are you going to finish it like 11 o'clock at night? And then I remember it's like when I was like having a club sandwich in the hotel, like in a beer, like when I got back to the hotel at like midnight, and I was thinking, this is brilliant. I was like, and it was nice and sunny in the day, and then like the evening came down, and then you had it, and it's like you had a nice day out. It's like, didn't need to go until 6 o'clock in the morning.
Everyone's had a lovely
strange
day.
for yous coming here, because we have terrible laws with our opening times, so yous are travelling around doing all the late stuff. When you come to Northern Ireland, do you find it strange?
Not
now
really.
You're used to it now, obviously.
Yeah, a little bit used to it. But when I first started playing out was in North Wales, like, back in my really early days when I first started getting gigs and stuff. Yeah. And one of the clubs that I had a residency for, it was like a really cool club called Time in Bangor in North Wales for Elevate. And it's like, that was in the university place. So it's like, it was a really cool venue. Like, like you could fit, I don't know, I'm terrible with numbers, say 1,000 people in a square box. Like, kind of like that type thing. It had a stage and everything like that. And that was like the premium event, like proper production. But it finished at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's like, and if you know anything about like the scene up in North Wales, is people aren't ready to go to bed at 1 o'clock.
Oh no, they definitely aren't ready to go to bed at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Because whenever I used to go out, let's say I went up and seen you in Tracks or something back in the day, you get a bus up, ends at 1 o'clock, 1:30, you get the bus back.
Oh, you find a house to go to.
That's the night only starting, really. Do you know what I mean?
It's like the warm up to the after party. The after party's the real party. It's like, oh, we had a great pre-party listening to John. Now let's go and actually we'll have a party.
But again, that is what it was like in North Wales, because it was kind of like they'd all, like, somebody take a sound system down to one of the coves in Anglesey, and everybody piled down there after, like when the sun's coming up and stuff. And it's like that was like the underground thing, but people went to the club event, and that was where everyone met up. And then it was like 50% of the club ended up down in like these kind of mad illegal raves.
Our problem is that we don't deserve nice things. Like, see, whenever I went to Decibel and I done the camping for 3 days with Nicole, like, no fellas tried to touch on her. I've seen people being sick and all their friends helped them. There was vitamin soul in the campsite. It was all watermelons and healthy milkshakes and all this here. Everyone was just lovely to each other. And they all mind their P's and Q's, and that was it. And then I came home after that and went to a nightclub in the town for my birthday. Some guy was pissing up the wall, was being sick while he was doing it. Some guy tried to pull Nicole, was that wiped out that he got turned round and done a 360 and then forgot that he'd spoke to her and tried to pull her again. And we then were just like, do you want to just see how many times this will happen? He's like, no, go on, mate. And just kept turning him round. All right there, love. And you're like, this is why we can't stay open to 6 o'clock. Like, look at the shape we get into 1 o'clock in the morning. You give everybody an extra 5 hours. No.
I'm not going to end well. Not
but
it
would go then. The clubs would open later. It was a big shock to me.
But
I
look
remember
how fucked people are in the clubs at 1 o'clock in the morning. Give them another 5 hours of getting that fucked. You're just having carnage.
I remember going and playing in Wales, and then we went to Belgium and that and playing, and like we were playing at 5:30 in the morning. And I was like, I couldn't believe this. Like, this was maybe 5-6 years ago.
The first time we done that, it was a shock to the system.
It was a shock, because whenever growing up here, like, we were playing closing sets here all the time, and it was 1:30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So see, whenever you started, John, what was it? Always hard dance? Was it always?
Yeah, I mean,
harder sort of.
I got into DJing with like happy hardcore in the 90s.
Yeah.
I'd say it was around 96. I mean, I told this story 1,000 times, but it was kind of the start of like when Bonkers 1 came out, and I was like into like Prodigy, Chemical Brothers, Underworld, like, you know, Left Field, all of those type of, like electronic acts. When my mates came around going, you heard this CD, it's called Bonkers. And I remember him putting it on, and the start of the Hixie mix, it's like starts off like, kind of like slow, and then it speeds up, and it's like it's got all scratching stuff on it. And it was like, I think I must have been about 13, 14 or something at the time, and it was like injecting sugar into my veins. It's just exactly
you
what
went bonkers.
Need. Yeah, and it was just kind of like, I was like, oh my God, this music, it speaks to me.
Yeah.
And it was like, kind of, it always felt like, if you're trying to listen to, not so much the early Prodigy stuff, that was like, there was a novelty element of it that could appeal to like an 11, 12-year-old or something at the time. 10-year-old, I think it was.
All listening in the back of the school bus and your wee Sony Ericsson phones and
all.
all.
But then I was long before that. I was on Walkman, not to date myself or anything. But yeah, then it's kind of like, when I heard like happy hardcore, that was like perfect for that age group, and I just like fell in love with the music.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I had like a piano in front of me, and I was like, I can't play this for shit. And then I heard about like DJing. And that was what everyone was, DJ this, DJ that. And I remember even before I was into like, before I discovered properly the bonk stuff, I'd listened to people had Fantasia tapes, and it was just this non-stop piece of music. And I thought that it was like people were producing these like hour-long pieces of music. Because, this is pre-internet and stuff. You've got no point of reference with anything. So I thought it was just like a guy that made like an hour-long song that you listen to.
He's really talented.
And it just like weaves in and out like it's just like this long thing. And then when I got Bonkers and there was a track list, and then I realised that it was the DJ's job to mix the tracks. And stuff. So then I was oh, maybe I can be a DJ. Like, this could be my little thing and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of like, I started off with literally just like my portable CD player, which was my prized possession, like, because that was what I used on the paper round to be able to save up money to buy records, and a Technics deck. But when I say a Technics deck, I mean a Technics hi-fi record player.
I like that your mum and dad would listen to the
vinyl. I
vinyl.
started listening to.
Yeah.
Zombie Nation.
Yeah, and it's like, and I had like my dad's PC speakers that had 2 inputs on it, and it had a dial between A and B. And I used to just play a record and just like, and I thought I was doing what everyone else was doing. I'm like, I'm fucking mad. I remember like kind of looking on the back of it and thinking to myself,
just turning the speaker.
But I'm like a spotty 13-year-old kid who doesn't know anybody to do with anything with the rave music scene. So I'm thinking, well, am I ever going to become a DJ? And then the light bulb went off in my head. I was looked on the back of the Bonkers CD, and there was an email address. So I was like, email them and say, I want to be a DJ, but I've no idea how I'm going to get big. And then I realised that if I mixed a Bonkers album, then I could be big too. Can I mix Bonkers too?
No, you didn't.
Honestly.
Yeah. What was did you get a response?
Did I fuck? Nothing back.
Hexie was there.
Yeah, well, this is what I say about a lot of different things in life, and this goes for everything in life like that. Is I genuinely think that if you're fully aware of the greatness that you're trying to achieve, you'd quit at the first step every single time.
100%.
But it's like the ignorance and the naivety that lets you put one foot after the other and you take small steps. Because Bonkers 16, I actually mixed a CD on that. So, so you know what I mean? It's like, and that's like insane from being a spotty kid that just that literally bought a CD, looked at the back of it, and went, "Can I do the next one?" Yeah. And I literally didn't know shit about anything. Yeah. And it's kind of like how absolutely ridiculous that was. So, actually being able to do that.
But you've done that for us, though. Like, we grew up reading Mixmag and all that there, and then one day you're like, boys,
that's over in the corner.
Do you want to? Yeah, it is. Do you want to be in Mixmag? And we're like, fuck off! It's actually happened.
DJ Mag actually. It was.
DJ Mag. Yeah.
And then even the Keeping the Rave Alive thing. Obviously, that's an extension of the Radio 1 show. Yeah. And like, me and Heather, whenever we only started going out from 16, right up until it stopped, every Friday night we just sat.
Oh, I think we tell you this every time we
I
see
know,
it. It's like,
we probably have.
we just
But we're
love
letting
listening to
we're-
you kids.
We're letting these ones know. So whenever we used to go like to the beach club, you and Alex were on in there, or someone was on the beach club, and they would have come back on the Friday night and listened to the thing. And I remember, this is a naive moment, going, wonder how he got there to do the radio show after. I used to come back and go,
He's like, here, he's on the fucking radio.
the Radio 1 must have a studio in Belfast. I used to think.
It was a private jet. I don't know.
How did the Radio 1 thing come about?
That was really random. That came courtesy of, like, I owe this purely to John Doe,
Yes.
the old hard trance producer, and he used to do hardcore under the name CLSM as well.
Yes, he used to do a bit of mastering for us,
Yeah, absolutely super talented guy in the studio, and really, really nice guy, and one of the few people that I don't think that he ever reached the heights that he could have, because he was so hard on his sleeve and adamant about doing things the right way, not playing the game and supporting the right people and doing everything. And it's like, and it just goes to show, sadly, as it goes, it's like,
There's
it's
so
kind of
many
like,
people that you see in the scene that like they've got buckets of talent, but they're just not willing. They're like, well, why aren't you giving to me this after 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Because it takes longer than 5 minutes for you to
Yeah.
do this. It's a
And
bigger
John
picture.
was like one of them people that's like, you know, he was super talented, but he just refused to play the game, as in, like, you know, like to, like, I don't want to say sell out, because it wasn't even selling out, but it's like, you know, he had morals, is what I'm saying, which is an ultimate rarity in the dance music industry.
It is, but it's so fickle.
And it's like, and John, like, he'd released a track when after John Peel passed away, and John Peel was like an old DJ. He was one of the very first DJs that started at Radio 1, like, you know, one of the
John Peel's
handful of
from
them.
here.
Yeah, and he went.
Teenage Kicks.
No.
Wasn't that not John Peel done Teenage Kicks? Gave it his first play.
He might have done,
He had a mural on
And
the
he was
on
guy,
the bridge on the Newton Arch Road.
And he broke David Bowie and stuff over
Yeah.
here, like, you know, and like loads of big, you know, kind of like huge artists. And he used to play hardcore on the radio. Like, it wouldn't be unusual to hear him play like a, you know, kind of a HMS or Loft Groover, like, you know, full on Gabba
He
track.
was happy to promote experimental music
Yeah,
at a time where it was
100%.
it's this box or nothing.
Yeah, and sadly, when John passed away, it's kind of like there was nobody covering hard dance music on Radio 1, and John Doe, under his CLSM name, made a track, John Peel's Not Enough, and it's like, you know, had like a breakdown on it, going like, you know, like talking about like all the music that the dance music DJs on Radio 1 play, and it's like, and Beyond Adventurous is John Peel's Not Enough and stuff, and it was a big campaign that, you know, there should be more hard dance on the radio. So then when John Peel died, John Doe even like set up, he must have been a right thorn in their side, because he set up a petition saying, well, you're supposed to be a public service that doesn't do, you know, what's popular and stuff. You're supposed to provide something for everybody that's paying the thing, and you're not doing it for hard music, so you should owe us a rebate off it, and all these petitions and stuff like that. So like, then eventually they wanted to do a program called The Residency, where they wanted to get a bunch of young DJs in to represent up and coming hot music, and it's like and they wanted somebody that was like not primarily a producer, somebody that wasn't like assigned or affiliated with like a record label or a
Someone
brand,
who knew how
somebody
to
that
switch
was
their
just
speakers, the A and B.
That's exactly what they were looking for. Yeah, so they were just kind of like, they were looking for like, you know, an independent, genuine DJ, and they wanted like trance, dubstep, you know, kind of drum and bass at the time, and then they thought, well, let's do a slot for covering hard music. And then they said, so they'd approached John Doe, of course, you know, because the big fuss that he'd caused, and they went, okay, then who would you suggest is the best person to represent this? And he was said, well, you know, as far as like up and coming, not signed to anything, that covers the full spectrum of the harder styles of dance music, not just any one niche or genre. They were like, he's like, the only real one is Kutski, who does it.
That's class.
So then they'd like approach me, and they were like, do you want to record come down to Radio 1 and record a pilot? And I was like, I don't know how to do anything to do with radio.
I was going to say,
I'm an
did you ever
underground,
done anything like that before?
nothing.
No?
No, I tell a lie. I did an interview with Kiss FM once for Riley and Durant, and it's like, I remember sitting there, and they kind of introduced on the show, and they went, so okay, 60 seconds, give us the pitch. Who is Kutski? What you're all about? And just trying to talk with my own voice coming through my headphones was so distracting, and I couldn't do anything. I went away, and I hated it. I was like, this is the worst experience. Like, and I was like,
I
know a
find
lot
that hard to believe though, because you're very charismatic on mic, and you're very good at explaining, and you have a real deep knowledge of hard dance.
Yeah, but so's Gary Neville. But did you ever see his first night in Sky Sports?
Michael Owen's still struggling for fuck's sake.
So it was just like a thing that I was like, back then I was so nervous with it, and I just didn't like it, and talking wasn't my thing with it. And it's, you know, and I remember coming away from it and thinking, I know a lot of DJs do radio interviews and stuff like that to help promote themselves, but I've got all these other little things that I can do that I'm good at. I'm just going to leave that one alone because I don't like it. And lo and behold, that's probably the biggest string to my bow in my career. So I went down, recorded a pilot, and I was so nervous to do it, but I wasn't going down there with the thought of maybe I could get a Radio 1 show because I knew I wasn't going to get it because I didn't know how to do radio. And I was like, but this is just an opportunity.
Again, that's that
just to
one
learn
foot
something.
in front of the other. That what you say.
Don't look too far ahead.
Yeah.
And it is that it's kind of like, so I went down there and I thought to myself, should I do it or should I bail it? Or like, so I was so nervous. And then I thought to myself that if I just see it through, I'm going to be able to tell my grandkids, like when I'm on my deathbed, that once I went down to Radio 1 and recorded a pilot for a show, like what a random story that'll be.
The grandkids going, Granda, what's a radio?
Is it like Spotify? Yeah, so it's one of them that, you know, I'd recorded the pilot, went down there, and they were just like, yeah, okay, we really like it. Yeah, we want you on the show. And I was like,
amazing.
What do you do from here?
Yeah. I mean, like, and again, it was just like, you know, like step after step. Where at first it was one show every 6 weeks, and I think we were all on for like 3 shows, and then they were going to change the lineup, and then, you know, some DJs got taken out of rotation, some got took in, and I stuck there until they rebranded it as In New DJs We Trust. Then there was only 4 of us.
Yeah.
But
And then
Judge Jules was not that. Was that
well,
part of
it
that?
was after that I think Jules got moved to a different night.
Did Eddie Halliwell come in at some point for Fired Up?
Yeah, he did it for a while with that, and I think then Eddie left, and then Jules moved 2 hours earlier, and then I did the slot where Jules was. Because I remember it's like talking to him when they were down there, and they said, "Oh, you're going to be doing Judge Jules' slot," and I was like, "But what about Jules?" And they were like, "Don't worry about that, just worry about your thing." And I'm like,
But
"No,
I'm already worried about it.
And I was like, "But you can't put me in Judge Jules' slot and like expect people to just like take to me."
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, the lucky thing was it's like it's not, because I thought, well, what if they've cut Jules and put me on instead? It's like I'm going to get it in the neck here. Like, but they'd moved him 2 hours earlier and then moved me into that slot.
I think it was 1 to 3 your
Yeah.
show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did you always do it live or?
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, most
or
of
when
the
you were
time.
in the beach club and I thought you were.
But it's most of the
playing
beach club ones, I think they were usually Saturdays, so it was okay. But it's like a lot of it was like, it was a pain in the arse with it. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was an absolute blessing to have done it. But it meant that when they wanted you to do the shows live, that it's like you couldn't take any gigs that night.
Yeah.
So and when you're a DJ and you can only go out and earn money on
Friday
2 nights of the week, it's kind
I'm
of
sure,
like, you know,
I'm
it's
sure
halving.
Radio 1 aren't paying the same wages going out and doing a gig.
You know,
wage.
people genuinely think that it's like, oh, you must have been a millionaire
See,
when
you
were.
told us
I
this,
thought
but
that
I
too.
didn't want to say that, this, but yes, I go right ahead.
I know it's. See, with the Radio 1 thing, did you already have a close relationship with like the Dutch acts by then, or did that
some of them?
Did that help you then establish a foothold?
I already had like relationships with a lot of the guys that were kind of like, you know, I'd be playing parties with at the time,
Yeah.
and they were like, luckily, the big names in the scene.
Yeah.
So then you'd get them on the show, and then it's like, then obviously I had my ear to the ground, and I'd get other smaller acts that were coming through that went on to be the headliners as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, I was lucky to
But
build
at
up a
that
lot
time,
of
though,
relationships.
the UK acts were it wasn't so much hard style. It was like hard dance and all that. Like, 'cause I didn't know you from Radio 1. I never really listened to the radio. It was your sets that you put out, like the Easter mix and the shit mixtape and all this here.
Yeah.
And it was around that time when you were doing that, and Alex was putting a few out, and we used to just get stoned in the car at Little's car park and just listen to these on repeat, going, "Holy fuck, these are amazing! What is this music?"
Yeah.
And then someone was like, "He's on Radio 1," and that was it. Just every week, FIFA, Radio 1. Yes, tickets.
Awesome.
I know. So because was Radio 1 then? Did it help you in your career? Was it a big stepping stone?
It was. It's a weird one though, because it's like everything with my career, I always thought to myself, if I can just get to the next step, that'll be the paper that
I'm
lights.
there right now.
And I was like, okay, like on like you know, kind of get to Radio 1, I was like, I'm going to go through the roof here, like not in an arrogant way, but it's like, you know, kind of get ready for the ride type thing. This is going to be massive. And it didn't really change stuff overnight, to be honest, because still I did get to play a lot of clubs that I shouldn't have been playing. Yeah. Because I was the cheapest DJ that you could get and put a Radio 1 logo next to their name.
Yeah.
You know, so
I
I've been
remember that all the time whenever you played
But
over
again,
here,
no
it was always
Spotify, no internet for streaming anything.
Yeah.
The radio was your big. It was TV.
Gateway into the music.
Like, four channels on the TV and radio, and that was everybody's weighed
Yeah.
everything, and that was it. And now you have it. You're almost spoiled for choice where you can go to get music now. It's lost its appeal. Not its appeal, but its
but it's like
specialness.
I always say that with like kind of with radio, it is like it's becoming less and less important.
Yeah.
And as somebody like I love the podcast medium. Like even when I was at Radio 1, it's like I was kind of like I was always asking them, can I do a podcast as well?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, there's nothing in your contract to stop you from doing it, but we'd really like to see that you put in all your effort into our show.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to get cut, so it's like
Yeah.
kind of like like with that. But it's like I always wanted to do a podcast because it's just I like the idea of just doing it. Like it's like pirate radio to me. That was what it was.
How many episodes have you done of Keeping Rave Alive now?
620 now. So
That's a
minus
lot,
episode, so 619 because I didn't do an episode 13, and I still get people messaging.
Have
me
you
going,
only missed one episode?
I put in purpose because of
I
superstition.
didn't want Unlucky 13 on the podcast list because it's the killer for podcasts, isn't it?
Maybe that's where we all went wrong then.
What are we on, 75 now or something?
No, this is number 2, man.
Start the clock over.
How many years were you at Radio 1?
It was about 9, I think, in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of it was a long
That's
time.
way longer than I listened. Like
Yeah.
Longer than
Like I
I
said, but that was like from beginning to end. So that was like like the full spectrum of it, like across.
I thought it was cool back then because see, like hard music, it was always looked down upon, and as you touched on earlier, like it was hard music is sort of a you have to be really into it to like it. Like, you can't just I like that tune it's not like listening to something on the radio where you can
Commercially pleasing, or
It's not. It's
you don't like it, but it
polarising.
catches in your head and it sort of sits there for a day or two.
I couldn't wrap my head around hearing like hardcore like, Evil Activities tunes on the radio. I thought it was
I
cool,
hated
like.
hard music. I detested it. I was like, no, I loved trance, I loved Rank 1 and all that there. And then I heard an Alpha Twins at Climax 2006 set and was like,
I had that on the out.
what
Live
is this
sets
little
for you,
fucking sound? And then that's when
database.
they were like, but like, look at all this here. And you're like, oh, right, okay. And then that's when I found all the UK acts and yourself, Alex, Gaz, the organ donors.
Yeah.
I was just like, rabbit hole. Let's go down this here.
Organ donors are mad, aren't they?
Yeah, God.
I love
Every
them,
time
boy.
anyone
Not
asks
now.
me that,
They've done well.
every time anyone ever asks me and they say like, what's the craziest story you can ever tell, kind of like about like, when you've been out, and I'm always like, so there was this one time with the organ donors, and it's like it always starts like that. Like,
I've been in some sticky situations with Matt, like telling me he's mad, man.
That's for your OnlyFans, though.
I know. Matt's going to come on too. So we're away with Matt in Malta. We're going to Malta.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in October for 4 days.
Ben and all's on it, like so.
which one's this for?
Colours.
Oh, right,
and
awesome.
Escape.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen Matt since last year, and it'll be good to see him again. Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see Matt enough these days. It's
No,
like
no.
I'll see him like maybe once a year or a couple of times a year. And like over the whole COVID thing when no one was seeing anybody, and it's like I hadn't seen him for like about 4 years, I think it was, something like that. And it's like, I was so happy when I caught up with him after like an accident.
You must have seen so many acts come and go over your time. Like, how long have you been doing this now?
I'm 42 now.
Oh, Jesus, he's exposing the age and everything.
Yeah. And I quit my day job when I was 23.
Can I just ask, what was your day job before you done?
I used to design roads for Cheshire County Council. I was a transport planner. Like,
So what does that? Hold on, let's dig a little deeper. What does that entail?
You arranged who put the road cones out, so you were like, fucking
Aye.
bastards.
Was it your fault them potholes were down?
I didn't want to say anything. I was looking out the window.
But no, so what does that entail? What do we go into?
So,
a bit of
so
detail?
basically, it's like it's not like I had grand ambitions with a career plan. It's like I left school at 16 and I was like, I want to be a DJ. To be a DJ, you need decks. To buy decks, you need money.
Bingo.
Your boy needs a job. So I got like an apprenticeship in IT just because I like computers. I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
So I got an IT apprenticeship for like 6 months in Cheshire County Council. So I started working there and I was like the IT trainee in the roads design department. And then while I was there, a job, for like a trainee kind of like came up actually in that division doing it. And everyone said, you should apply for it. So I applied for it and I got the job. Yeah. And then, and that's it. There was nothing more to it than that.
It's
and
so mad to think that's what your career path could have been
Is
instead
there
of touring the world.
any dodgy roundabouts in Cheshire?
Yeah, well, whenever a roundabout was built, if it was built within a certain time zone, you'll know that was when, kind of like, it'd been a long night the night before.
That's actually mental.
How do you see the music going in the future here? Because since COVID, everything's just been upended.
Yeah.
I don't even understand what's going on now.
I think we're just in a massive time of change at the moment, and it's the first time, like normally it's like you can never predict the future, but I
Yeah.
can be pretty confident in with most things. I'd like to
Yeah.
think, I'm quite an observant guy. It's like I
Yeah.
try not to let life pass me by, and especially with music, I'm just a nerd for studying it and studying trends and stuff like that. But I'm kind of looking at it now and I'm going, I don't really know.
Everything seems to be
it's so
rehashes of
fast.
just old, like, even if you put out an original idea now, people don't really, they're like, meh, but then you remix something like, oh my god, this is the best
But
thing
the
ever.
thing is, though, is you have got to think about this. Is now, don't forget how old we are, especially your boy over
Yeah.
here. That it's like people
Sorry,
are
you're only a couple of years older than me, it's fine.
We're getting close.
people are only remixing tracks from like 20 years ago in
Yeah.
the 90s
Yeah.
and stuff, which is a long time ago now. Like, even longer
Yeah.
than 20 years. to
Aye,
be
when you
honest.
say the 90s, you're
Yeah.
like, 5 years ago, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
no, that was 30 odd years
Yeah.
ago, fuck.
So but when you think about it, when we were listening to tracks in the 90s, they were like remixes of stuff from the like 60s and 70s, like in cover
Yeah.
versions and stuff.
I
So it's
suppose.
not a massive difference than what was going on back then.
Yeah.
And dance music's
And the
always
young
been
ones now probably don't have never
Yeah.
heard them. See what you have to remember too. See that Prada tune, that big Castle Prada. That's a remix.
Yeah.
Is it?
Aye.
I didn't know
but
that.
it's a remix of a new tune. That
Yeah.
girl only released that tune last year, and he just remixed it.
Right,
And it just
okay.
went boom.
Yeah.
It's strange. I think with hard music, you've always got your die-hard fans. That's the only good thing. But you need the casual fans for the scene to grow.
Yeah.
I don't. The casual fans have no interest right now. Like.
I do agree with what we were saying off camera, though. I think DJs have shot themselves in the foot by not everyone, but some people's either attitude or their lavish requests or the all this or I need this or I need that. And people are like, you're literally coming, like as you say, you're waiting about a hotel to do this, to do that, to come play music for an hour. And people are like, I want slippers, I want dressing gowns, I want all this luxury to be afforded to me. Plus, I want you to give me £10,000.
Yeah.
Why?
Why did you give my rider out on air?
Uh,
No, but I mean, I do think there's something to that. But also, like, from a not from a bitchy moany point of view. Old man grumpy. I don't like the way the scene's going. Completely detached from it. If you look at it, when I got into DJing, it was a nerd's hobby.
Yeah.
There was the nerdy guy in
As
the
the
group
song
of
said,
friends.
DJs
Yeah.
like music in a weird way.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like, and I was like, all my friends used to love going out, loved happy hardcore and stuff, and they loved to go and get wasted in clubs and dance all
Yeah.
night. Whereas I was like that nerdy guy that was sat at the front train spotting what was these new tunes, trying to remember it all,
Yeah.
Yeah.
listening to that guy's mixing and like studying what the crowd doing and stuff like that. That wasn't a cool thing to do.
No.
That made me the nerd.
Yeah,
The
you,
fact
were,
that I
you
was
weren't the fun guy. It wasn't like,
Yeah.
here, phone John and see if he's up for a
Yeah.
fun night out.
He'll just keep fucking talking about record labels. But this is the thing with it now. It's like that was what the DJ was.
Yeah.
Then when I got into it, it was the nerd. It was the kind of like it was obsessive geeky
Yeah.
thing. And then now you look at what the DJ is. The DJ's the front man of a rock band.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like, and like this is just like, if you look at it, it's to get the big reactions and to get the popularity, you've got to be good looking. So struggling with that, as I'd
We're
never have broken through in the first place if that was the case back then. But then it's like you've got to be good looking, you've got to have a good image, strong presence.
Yep.
It's like when you look
You're
at
not
like,
just a DJ anymore.
no,
you're
an
10 other things.
entertainer.
And
You're an
at the-
entertainer.
That's it.
And it's
you
like
are.
you've got to be climbing up on top of the decks on the microphone as much as you're touching the thing. And as much
Wouldn't
as
say that.
Yeah, and it's like everybody, I'm sure a lot of people are watching going, oh, I hate it when people do that. But the thing is, you watch it in a club, that will get a bigger reaction from the dance floor.
But any tune.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to,
And then
like,
on
too
top-
many people, if they're standing doing that, and then someone comes on and starts jumping on speakers and doing other stuff, you get people's attention more. And I always say, I know I do it, but I've built a bit of a career on being an agent. But if I'm not going mad, how can I expect any of you to go mad?
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, you give me the energy, whatever you give me, I will give you back tenfold. Let's
Yeah.
go. And then you're like, put your hands up and put all your wallets in the bag.
Well, this is the thing with it. It's like, because as well as if you're doing those crazy high energy moments, it's going to get caught on camera. And then that brings us to the other key thing that is like probably more important than anything is social media presence.
Yep.
And it's kind of like, and if people see a video of you climbing on top of the deck screaming and everyone in the crowd going crazy, and you can do that in a 10-second contained thing because you can't hold people's attention.
Yeah.
If people don't know me as a DJ, I can't say sit down and listen to my mix for an hour uninterrupted and listen to the flow of music. You can't do that anymore. But you've got 5 seconds when people scroll onto the next one and be like, oh Jesus, look at that, who's that?
There's been places I've been from whenever before I was working with Jason, and I've went and played like wee DJ competitions or wee local bars and stuff, and I've ran into people being like, oh, I've never heard that hard music before. I've heard this one guy before, I can't remember his name, but he was going fucking mental behind the decks. And I was like, Nice to meet you, that was me. And it's like, you don't maybe not remember my name, but you remembered I had a good night, and you had a good night watching me have a good night, and we all fucking loved it together.
Sometimes I'm like, Dave, come on, calm down.
But why?
The only thing is, we've done 3 stage Daves, and he hasn't been caught once. I've been caught all 3 times.
I got caught the third one because he actually stopped the music.
It was
and
like
done
Make a
full,
Wish.
like,
I
Make a
stopped
Wish.
in the festival. I stopped and I got all the tent to come forward. And I was
Dave's been dropped
like,
twice.
He's been dropped
Please
twice.
catch him.
Please catch him. And he done it in the club.
You see, I could never do that. I'd never have I'd be like a baby penguin jumping into water.
The first time I did it,
like,
no one caught me, and then he jumped because they knew it was happening. They all caught him. I was like, you wanker. It was my goal to do it, and he's like, go, this is your chance, do it. And I fucked up, and he got it.
Any
I
injuries?
remember Eddie Hollowell doing it in the coach.
Someone stole my shoe once, though.
Hogger stole Eddie Hollowell's shoe, and this guy was in my class in school, Hogger, and then Hogger ended up, he died, and Eddie was playing the park up there, and this was only last year,
fire.
and his wee brother brought the shoe back down in a case like 15 years later and said the Eddie Hollowell's your shoe back. He had to travel home with no trainers.
That was another fantastic nightclub. The coach. Did you ever play in the coach back?
Yeah.
Did you ever play in the new coach?
No, probably not. No, it was like all open planned.
It's
Don't
got
think so,
like
no.
leopard print fuzzy wall, and the green room is like a full sofa area right behind the decks on the
Doesn't ring
dance
a
floor
bell.
and all.
It would
But
have been
it's-
the box, wouldn't it, when you were there? Like the
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a
yeah,
like
the top,
dark,
yeah.
dingy,
Yeah.
proper club, and we went in. And we were like, "Oh, we're going to play the coach! Oh my god, the childhood dream!" You walked in like, "This is not my coach.
it's not
Yeah.
This is not the coach that I grew up in."
I know. It's mad. Like obviously Kelly's, we play with you many a times. You
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a residency every year up there. But they've got the barn open now.
Yeah.
Right, I think they're
be
starting
alright.
to-
Yeah, up the top, yeah.
Yeah,
They're
but
starting to try and
that was such
filter
a
it back in.
tragedy that they knocked that down. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's like when you hear stuff over the years, it's like the Archers. I mean, I think in Glasgow,
They're doing them
talking
again.
about back,
Yeah.
coming back on again and stuff. But then part of me obviously wants the Archers back because it's like my favourite club of all
Yeah.
time. But part of me kind of doesn't want it to come back and not be what it was.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether you can recapture something like that.
That's
It's-
it.
no, you can't. That's lightning in a bottle.
But it's
Yeah.
it's your lifestyle as well, because like I'm sure whenever you were playing in the Arches and you had all the guys around you and you were having your fun times and whatever,
Yep.
it would be different now. The Daddy John going back and doing this and being like,
Yeah.
oh, so what? Like we were sitting in some green room recently and we were all laughing because it was 3 days all being like, oh, so fucking school runs a melt, doesn't it? It's like, see if all them people out there could see us now being like, oh, so what? Well, your wee child was sick. Oh, Jesus, I'm sorry to hear about that.
What's it like? Obviously, I've travelled weeks on end with him, and it's all right with 2 people. What's it like alone?
Depressing.
That's what
Yeah.
we were literally
Yeah.
talking about there just before
Yeah,
you came
honestly, it's like it's a weird one because I know it's like I don't want to be that. I don't mean it in a bad way, like where I'm like ungrateful of the
Yeah.
career that I chose because I've literally got the dream job
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But it's like I've never liked travelling. I remember even like the first time I went on holiday on like a lad's holiday to Ibiza, I was just proper homesick. Like
Yeah.
after the first day, I was like. I just didn't feel comfortable, and that was when I was away with my friends and
Yeah.
stuff. And I always like call it like sad panda syndrome, because it's like if I go away for 2 weekends, like if I go to America, play a gig, then you've got the week to chill in between. You're getting over the jet lag. Kind of like you get settled to your environment, have a little wander around, and it's all good and stuff like that. And then you play your next weekend's gigs, and then you go home after it, and it's like with that is perfect for me.
Yeah.
But if I'm away for like 3 weekends on the bounce, that second week in between. It's like I always think to myself, I'll take my laptop, I've got Netflix,
Yeah.
take my games consoles with me. I've got work to do, stuff to watch, games to play, and it's like, and I'll be in a nice hotel and it's going to be amazing. I can just like chill and enjoy it, in another country, and I just sit there and I'm like,
But there's only so much games you can play, or like, it's like I would bring the laptop and stuff with me, and you would sit there. But as you said before, it's when you sit in an environment that you feel inspired to do the stuff.
yeah.
You carry all this gear with you, and you're like, I can't be fucked. I'm
Yeah.
literally just lugging about a really expensive backpack now.
It really does make you appreciate what you have at
Yeah.
home, though.
Yeah.
Even just like just
Oh.
like being able to just pop round your mate's house, or like
Yeah.
kind of like all the stuff that you do. And it's like, and don't make me wrong, the amount of times that after I've got home after that, and I'm thinking, fuck, I wish I just had like an afternoon to myself here.
Yeah.
But then it's kind of like it really like I don't like being away for extended parts of times. I mean, it's like it's like we all know Ben Nicky, and it's like he's just
Yeah.
constantly
Yeah.
on the road.
I know.
And it's like, and it really it
Sometimes
must
where
take it
I've
out
been
of
in
you.
his company, like see Ben, this is one thing I've said a million times about him. He is, see, for being a superstar, he's one of the nicest fellas.
Yeah.
Like,
he
there's
gives
some,
to his fans
there's
so
some
much.
hardstyle acts who will not be named, but I've been through out of green rooms because they've been there. They've been really, we'll talk after, and they've been just so
Not just us,
uppity.
everybody.
But we see with him, Ben, he's always been. But there's been sometimes I've sat with him or I've been in his company, and he just looks fucked.
Yeah,
just
tired,
exhausted. Aye.
yeah.
See, obviously we haven't done it as much as that, but there's been weeks where we've went like 2 gigs a weekend all over, flying back and forward UK, Europe, and that, and it does take it out of you. Like,
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine doing it by myself.
It's
I
a
really
full-time job, just travelling, you know, and then
People,
you add in the exhaustion.
people
and-
say, "Oh, how much? Oh, but you're only playing an hour." No,
But it's
I
it's
have
the
to go
23
to
hours
the
of waiting.
airport. I have to go to the airport, and I have to go. Like, it's a 24-hour thing if you're just flying to the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always say it's like you get paid to travel, and
Yeah.
the DJing's just like the little cherry on the top.
Yeah.
But see as well, you come back and you see the family, and it's great. But as you say, you go from the environment of DJing where everyone's like, "Oh yes, talk to me. I'm your fan. This is class." You don't really get a moment to yourself. And then once you go home, like, the kids don't care that you're a DJ. The kids are like, I want to see Daddy. And like, I remember talking to Randy about it, and he just came back from a Chinese tour. And he's like, I get in, I had 2 hours sleep, and as soon as I get in the door, the kids were up and like, Daddy, play with me. And you're like, you can't say no to your kids. You've just been away for 3 weeks. They are busting to see you, and you just have to ride through that. And it's like, again, as you say, you're not ungrateful for the life you've chose, but everybody pisses and moans about their job, regardless of what it is
it's
you
like
do.
100%.
It's
Even
just
me,
what people
but I'm
don't
like
see.
that. I'm like, oh fuck this! Like, of 2 weeks off now, and then see after the first week, I'm like, can't wait to get back at it now. I know, like you do enjoy
It's
it.
I mean, that is like, it's the nice thing that it's. I mean, certainly, I'll tell you one thing, because it's like, you know, when you used to travel, it's like, you know, I used to moan like this about it's like, oh, I'm tired, I don't want to be away from all this type of stuff. And then COVID was a nice slap in the face, and it's like, oh, you want to moan about bookings then? How about I take away your career?
That was it.
And then when it gets given back to you, and you're just like, yes, please, yes, thank you, sir. Like, just like,
I'll
don't
never
complain
complain
about
again.
anything. I'm sorry.
I only said it because they said it on a podcast. I didn't really mean it.
See, speaking of travelling and going back to the social media thing we talked about earlier, I remember you, like, I watched every single one of the videos you done of, like, travelling to Australia, running about with bioweapon and all. I thought they were so cool. And I, like, obviously, I
We
was...
Planet Love vlogs and all, and like
Yeah.
Planet Love,
Yeah.
North
They were
and South
great.
and all that there.
And then I was like, why is, like, fucking Headhunter's not doing this? He did eventually start doing it years later. But I thought, see, just the life of a DJ whenever I was only starting out, I thought... learning the insights of it was so amazing. Like,
Yeah.
but you,
Is it
like,
not the Tanker's tune? Everybody thinks that being a DJ
DJ's
is cool.
cool,
Yeah.
But you, like, were you one of the first to do them vlogs?
I
Or
think
did-
so, yeah. I mean, it's like not trying to like toot my own trumpet with it and that, but it's like I
It's
remember
the first I remember.
Yeah, it's like I got this little camera, and it's like the size of like an old Nokia phone, and you pulled a switch on the side, and a USB flipped out the top.
Ah, yes.
And it
I
had like a
remember.
little screen on it, and you could just like, you know, so you could just walk around. It wasn't about £100 or something,
Yeah,
so
I
it wasn't
had
like
one,
overly
yeah.
expensive. And it's like, and then I just like learn. I just used to use iMovie and just like stitch it together. And I just
Yeah.
it was just another fun, creative thing to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And then I think that
Keep you
can,
busy on the road
yeah,
too. Yeah.
and it's like, you know, keep me entertained. It'd give me a reason, you know, when I'm in the hotel and it's like, you know, kind of like sat there for 3 days, and it'd give me a reason to go out and do something, so I'd have some content
Yeah.
to make a video out of. But then it's like, ironically, it's like I don't do nearly, now it's important to do all this social media stuff. I don't do
not.
nearly as much as I did back then, because I kind of think it's like it got oversaturated,
Yeah.
and there's so much, everybody's doing it now, so why do you need to see what I'm doing? It's like, because you can see what other
Yeah.
people. The other thing is the production values on it. People started getting teams in to like,
Yeah.
and everything got produced to such a high standard, and it's like, and I never really wanted to do that. I wasn't
Yeah.
trying to make a
No, I
a
think the
TV
way you
style
were
doc-
doing it was like
like
POV,
natural,
up
yeah.
Yeah.
close. Even like the way it used to be, like, oh right, Kutski UK, and then it used to have the map with the arrow
Aye, where
going
you
to
were- like
Australia.
Indiana Jones kind of thing. It was
That
class.
was the only trick that I knew how to do in iMovie. That's the only reason I
See,
did
but
it.
see what you're saying there about like teams and all. Like, see, whenever we came back after COVID, we were pretty good at taking videos of gigs and all. We came back after COVID, and there was like 14 weeks or something, like Creamfields, Logic, like all these big massive events we played, and not one video did we take out of them 14 weeks.
Well, no, to be fair,
And
we
see-
take like 1 or 2 videos,
Aye,
but like
no,
compared to
one or
the,
two
what you could have
videos
got.
of like me or you holding the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so. And see, when we come out of the end of that, I'm still to this day, I'm like, we missed it.
We fucked up.
We fucked that up. Like,
Yeah.
that was the busiest we had ever been, the biggest shows we had ever played, and
We just enjoyed them too
nothing
much
went
because
on
we're like,
social media.
why do you want to spend your time doing this when you could be just loving your craft? But
Even
It's
then-
a
asking
weird
someone
one.
to take a photo from behind or whatever, it really did, and it fucks me to this day, because I'm like, that was like them shows, like we were flat to the mat, and they were so good, they were so big, thousands of people, and no one on our Facebook or Instagram knew about them.
Yeah.
mad.
This is the thing, though, but it's like I always think it's like a weird thing that like at the end of the festival when you see the big fireworks show or something, at DEF CON, like the big end show, and if you stand at the back, all you can see is a
people's
sea
phones
of phones where everyone's doing it, and then they're all like this, and it's like, well, why did you go to DEF CON? And they're like, 'cause I wanted to see that amazing show at the end.
YouTube.
And it's like you could have watched that on your phone after. It's like it's not the same as seeing it live. And it's like, well, you didn't watch it live because you were watching it on your phone screen when you were filming it.
And does anyone actually go back and watch them after? I've took videos of
it's
fireworks
just to put it on
displays.
social media to
But
say,
the thing
look
is,
where I
yeah,
was.
it's like you can show like people a YouTube video that somebody else took, and I'm lucky in a way, like especially with having young kids and stuff, that my missus is like she's like really into photography, so she takes loads of pictures and everything. She
I've seen some of the photos now you've posted up. She's very good at taking pictures.
Yeah, oh thanks. So yeah, she's like she does well with that, but it's like I try my hardest now, like to kind of like leave my phone upstairs when I come downstairs, so I'm not. Like, and then there's a lot of things that it's like,
attention.
just just generally like in life, rather than trying to film the moment to keep it forever. And it's like, because like at some point, it's like we're all going to be gone. Like,
An EMP is going to happen and it's not going to fucking be there.
And it's like, do you want to go like, back on your deathbed and go like, kind of like, and go, oh, I remember when I took that amazing picture of that badger that I saw.
Leaving your USBs to people in your will. Here's all my photographs. Look through them.
I know mine's was more, but it was like, I think we missed a chance to brand
Yeah,
ourselves.
100%.
It hurts
because
me.
that is such an
it hurts me
important,
still to this day,
it's such an important part of it.
Yeah.
But it's like, I always get to the thing that it's like, and the other thing is because it's like this probably is not going to be a career for life for most of the people that are in it as well. So when you have a good run at it, we've all got bills to pay and stuff. And a lot of people that I know that it's like they'll go and play gigs, and it's like they'll pay. And they'll get paid a stupid fee. Like, just for example, say 10 grand to go and play in America. It's a lot of money, that, isn't it? Yeah, but when you actually break it down, the first thing that you have is 40% withholding tax, which the promoter has to pay to the government on your behalf. So that 10 grand then becomes 6 grand. Right, then you take your flight out of it. To go economy is probably going to cost you the best part of £1,000 now to go economy. But so many people, if you're on a 10 grand budget DJ, you want the appearance that you go business class. So then you go business class, that's going to be 3.5. So you see what I mean? You're starting to strip it down then. And then they're like, well, I'm having this experience, so I need to bring somebody with me. So then I need to pay his economy flight. And then it's like, and then I need to pay him to record everything and, his time while he comes over there. And then to edit it afterwards. And then on that, money that's like left, you're going to be paying for, food and everything when you're travelling.
So
and
you're
stuff like that.
whittling it down
And then whatever you've got left over it, you have to pay tax in your own country when you get home. And then that withholding tax will be offset against your other American tax. Maybe 18 months down the line, if you get the certificates through the post, send off to your accountant and remember to. So
and you've also got to pay for visas and all that go over
there.
Yeah,
well, it's like that's not even
it needs to be
talking about
worthwhile.
the visa, like with it and stuff. So that's how easy 10 grand can become £200. And it's like it can really get stripped away.
But you're doing it just
covering your
so
costs.
it's like with a lot of stuff like that, I'm kind of thinking, well, it's like I've got like a family to look after, a mortgage to pay, bills to pay, and I don't know
like
what
real life problems.
Yeah, and especially after COVID, I'm like, I don't know whether I'll have any gigs the month after next. Because anything could happen. So it's like I'm always trying to be very sensible with my money. So when someone's like, kind of at this show, I can charge you £500 and I'll make you a record and make you an after movie for there. And it's like, well, that could be £500 off my mortgage, and I can take my camera and film it myself.
That's it. Or ask someone behind you here, get a video.
Yeah, but it is so important that you do need to then have the motivation to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like it's such a weird time with it, and the things like I was thinking to myself about.
But that's the thing. Does it matter? Is the question? Because like I do see some people who have some really.
As much as say that you wouldn't quit tomorrow. You love it too much.
Like, but see the video and all this is so I'm playing devil's advocate here with my own question, but. I have seen people who have really highly edited videos and look the part, but they don't have no numbers on social media.
Yeah. So then the thing with that though is like it's kind of like it's almost like throwing darts. You can throw it and you can go miss, hit, boom.
That's it.
And then we see that with like the track, like tracks that have gone huge on TikTok. They're always great tracks. There's millions of great tracks, and whether you write one of the million that makes it or one of the 10. Like
it's like Del Boy. This time next year we'll be millionaires. But are you willing to hang on until next year?
You just never know with it, and it's like it's like you're not going to be able to make it, kind of like big on TikTok and have that viral track. You're not going to be able to get there if you don't keep making music, and
Yeah.
you've got to be able to make good music. But there's absolutely zero guarantee and a very slim chance that even if you make consistently, keep making loads of great tracks, and they're very good, there's still no consistency.
Well, if you stop, you're definitely not going to do it, so you may as well keep hammering on.
So it's one of them things that it's, kind of like...
That's why we started the Dice thing, because
Yeah.
I told you earlier, we've talked about it on here, loads of people getting us to do engineering work and ghost production work, and the next minute their SoundCloud has 1.5 million streams on a tune,
Okay.
and we didn't take no royalties, we just took a flat fee.
Yeah.
And so we're like, why not just try it ourselves? And obviously the hard dance is what we come up listening to and we love, and we're going to continue doing that, but the Dice thing's just something else to go down for that, maybe get that TikTok video trend or that SoundCloud hit.
We just need to go and get the rest of the face sorted out, and he's already got the teeth, so we're
Get
there.
the turkey teeth, get your hairline touched up, jobs
That's
are done.
it. And
Just on that then, do you? I know we touched on this briefly in Honey, but do you have an end game? Like, is there a time where you see that you're gonna say no? I'm not going to DJ anymore.
No,
because
I
can't
think
be
I love
arsed?
it too much. For like warts and all, it's like as long as I remember hearing, Steve Davis, the snooker player,
Yeah.
and it's like I remember it like
do you like
somebody.
snooker? You've mentioned it a couple of
Yeah,
times.
yeah, it's
I
like I'll
it
follow
too.
along with it, like
He's a techno DJ as well. Do you know that?
Yeah, yeah. Apparently he's really good as well. I've never heard him.
It'd be so weird. Just you're standing there and you turn around and be like,
Is that my uncle? Yeah, but that's the thing with it. It's
was
like
he not playing snooker an hour ago?
I remember hearing him say, somebody said, "Oh, when are you going to retire?" And he said, "Never." He said, "I'm just going to be so bad that I'll just fall out, that I don't get like done into any
Yeah.
things." And it's like, and I do think there's a lot of what makes a DJ popular and current now as the new generation come through.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's not what I'm about. But I think that what I offer still has a big
100%,
demand,
yeah.
and I think that it's almost like I can hold tight with what I do,
Yeah.
and it's like, and that'll be like great. But it's like I'm not under the illusion that it's like I think I've kind of reached where I'm going,
Yeah.
Like, and I'm super proud with all my achievements and stuff that I've done, and it's like, and I probably will go on to do other stuff as well. But it's like I'll never retire because it's just kind of like
what
who
you've
you
done.
I
are.
love it too much.
Who
Like
you
that.
are,
It's
yeah.
like, I
It'd be
don't-
a waste of time if
I
you
don't-
kind of just threw it all away and said, "I'm
I
done."
think if you retire, it's kind of like, I mean, obviously everybody's got their own reasons for it and their own, kind of like their own
Yeah.
reasons. So it's like, so I'm certainly not passing judgment on anyone else who has retired. But it's like, the way that I see it is, it's like, why would I want to not play any more gigs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's
Exactly.
definitely a bit of thing when someone's like, oh, can you travel 24 hours to Australia on economy when you've 65, my back's knackered. And it's like, but don't
If
worry.
you get me a cushion.
Yeah, don't worry, we'll give you $50 and and a can of Red Bull when you get
Yeah.
there. I might go, I don't think that one's for me, that gig. I might
Yeah,
have to
you
pass
can
on
pick
that.
and
So I'm
choose.
not saying that it's like I'll take every gig forever,
Yeah.
but it's like I just can't understand why you would want to put a full stop on it and go,
Yeah.
I'll never. And that's why all these DJs kind of like, they all come back out of retirement. 'Cause
It's like sort of a
LED.
legendary
Yeah.
set.
LEDs.
I mean,
back.
yeah,
I know.
it's like
Our
people,
boy.
Fully back.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
But that's the thing is it's like, obviously you had, family and jobs and other responsibilities in life and everything. And then it's like, then the itch got him back. And was it Planet Love that was his first
Yeah,
gig back? And
yeah.
then kind of got a little taste for it. And I was like, you doing more? He's like, nah. And then
No,
I've seen his name on flyers now. And I'm like, I
Smashed it
knew
just by
it.
collabs
I
and
knew
all
it.
now.
He's coming up
Yeah.
to do a tune. That's it.
Awesome.
I would love to be able to just not have to play gigs and sit here. Making music and
Yeah.
engineering.
I would always say
Yeah.
I'm a
favorite
producer
thing.
before
Oh,
I'm a DJ. Like
I love
I'm
it.
far
Now,
more
don't get
up
me
than
wrong.
that.
I love playing one of the new tracks we've just finished in the nightclub. Like that is that's the drug.
Yeah.
I feel. But I just love sitting here writing music. Like,
Yeah, see, I've always loved the side of DJing, not from the producer
know
side
why?
of it.
Because I'm not a good
Yeah.
DJ.
I like the idea of being a record player.
Yeah.
Like, so not like necessarily. Like,
Yeah.
I like the idea of like the psychology of the reading the crowd and of building the sets and stuff, like, and it's kind of, and that's why it's like, when I was talking earlier, it's not my thing to be getting on the microphone and shouting,
Yeah.
but I'm interested in that really works more so than like, doing scratching or a fancy mix
Yeah.
or anything. No one's bothered about that anymore. And it's like, why is that? And I think it's because, like, when you look at the image of the DJs that are really big at the moment, and it is the analogy that you can say that they're more in tune with what a lead man of a band, a
Yeah.
rock star
Yeah, it's
would
like
be.
crowd
They're-
pleasing tunes and
yeah,
getting the
there
crowd
would be
involved.
a rock star. More like being a DJ, it's more important to be a rock star. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. Like, I
Yeah.
think it's really important that
Yeah.
the role of a DJ has changed over the years. And it's like, and there's always different areas of what, I'm sure like back in the day, I mean, it's like, Marky G was like, well known. He was the crazy one amongst everyone. So we had that before Steve Aoki was chucking cakes. Marky G was shooting himself in the face with a fire extinguisher and stuff like Helter Skelter in the 90s and stuff. And that's always been his thing. That's his energy and his expression of it. And it's like, and really, to be honest, Mark should be like the biggest name in the world because he was doing that first and he was the best at it as well.
Yeah. Planet Love Q dance and he was lifting the decks up and going like this. Right?
Yeah.
But it was him and Alex is what inspired me to get on like a fucking goat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was just, right, well, if you're going to love it that much, I'm going to fucking love it that much. Let's go, boys.
And that's the thing. It's like, kind of like the roles, like, changed with what a DJ is. And that's what's always fascinated me about DJing. And it's like, how, like I was like fascinated for ages about the most, this just goes to show what a nerd I am with it.
Love it.
It's like, I was like fascinated when the smoking ban came in, how
that would affect
how
people.
you had to change your sets because people could kind of, if they were just kind of chilling, you could take them on a bit of a dip, and then they'd sit and have a
let them go for a smoke and then come back
they'd
again.
have a smoke, but they'd have a smoke on the dance floor, and when they're going to leave, you can't get people to stay for like an hour and a half set without going for a smoke. I mean, if you're a superstar, like, and everyone's come to see you like a concert, it's a different story. But just generally as a DJ, you can't expect people to stay without going to the toilet, without going for a drink.
We would find
or going
tunes
for a
and
smoke.
say, they're smoking tunes.
Smoking tunes.
Like,
We do that,
we'll drop that one about 15 minutes in, give people a chance to go for a smoke, and then come back and fully leather them again.
Do you know why? See what you're saying there about the art of mixing and all, why it's went away? Do you know? I don't know if I said this before, but I believe, I don't know if I've told you, you've definitely said them. Spotify. Do you ever put Spotify on shuffle and it like goes in?
Yeah.
So the tunes mix together and they're always out of beat.
Yeah.
No one cares anymore. Like I've
double beating's not a
there's
thing.
times
The kids
I've been in
anymore
a club
Spotify.
and I've double beated like horribly, and everyone starts cheering. Like they don't care. Like, but I
Every
feel
mix.
that it's that. No, the mix together. I'm a horrible DJ. But no, it is. It sort of ruined the art of it because there was nothing better than watching yourself and tracks up close on the wee box, scratching 2 tracks at once, Eddie Hollowell scratching, going mad. Like there was a real art to it. Like
I mean, there's definitely something to be said about that. With the Spotify generation and stuff, and not making your own mixes, and not needing the DJ to choose the tunes. But you want to know my theory of like why I think like mixing became not important.
No,
anymore.
thank you. So that's the end of the show, guys.
I'm off down the club now, so I'll see you in a bit. Right, so it's like, so back in the day, I think it was the fact that there's no money in music anymore.
Yeah.
Sounds weird, doesn't it? You can't see the correlation. Let me explain. Okay, so back in the
there's
day,
definitely no money in music.
That's what Snoop Dogg said. He got 1 billion plays in Spotify and he got 10 grand for it. And you're like, what?
Yeah, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
So it's like producers used to make music, and then they used to get paid from selling records, and that was great. And then DJs went out and played the music in the clubs. And every now and again, a DJ would do a mix of a producer's one because they had the eye on the dance floor, so they could rearrange the track to make it more suitable for like a dance floor. Like, so everyone had their own role, and that was all good. Then it's like the two worlds became so close together where if you want to be a producer, you've got a DJ because that's the only way you're going to make any money now on the live show. And if you want to be a DJ, you've got to be a producer to make your own tunes with it. So then when that went on, like the end result of that as generations came in is that the new producers became the big DJs, but they didn't come at it from DJing, so they weren't bothered about like blending tracks and stuff. And it's like, if you, like back in the vinyl days, it's difficult to mix. But then when once every track's made at the same thing, you're playing it on a digital player. It's not that it's hard to do big long smooth mixes, but it's not that hard to mix.
32
and then the track starts.
Gaz, Dark by Design, was famous for that. He said he didn't play anybody's tunes other than his own, but he had like 900 tunes to play because he just rattled them out. And it was like, well, if you're going to rattle tunes out like that, like his tunes back in the day were phenomenal.
So what you're saying is producers then come in and all producers are basically playing a pre-recorded set? No. They're pre-recording them in the studio and they're loading them on their pen. They're just,
I mean, kind of what I mean is like, tracks used to build for ages, and elements of the track started to come in, and at the end of it, the track would slowly deconstruct, so you could slowly hear it weaving from one track into the next. But then, but
was that not to give you time to go to your record bag to find a record, get it all mixed in? You don't have that shit now. It's literally just click, go,
just load
done.
the next one.
Like, so see when you get a track and it doesn't have a mixing bit, extended mix, no mixing bit. What the fuck do you want me to do with this?
This is the end game of making it with kind of like 32-beat intros, and it's kind of of like, because it was just designed to be a simple way to transition from one track
Yeah.
to the other for producers to DJ. Like
Yeah.
you ask any big DJ now, and it's like, and you go, have you got decks? Like most DJs don't have decks now,
Yeah.
No.
like at home.
I don't own DAX.
Yeah,
I
I mean that's
remember,
the thing. It's,
like,
it's a rarity.
Yeah.
Like, No One Can Stop Us, the Show Tech remix.
Yeah.
All them early hardstyle tracks, Johnny's ones and all. They were a minute 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and you really had the focus to get it in.
Just
Yeah.
on that with the DAX. So I remember you saying to us, and it was such a true point. The problem now with people DJing is you go to the club and it has these 3000s and this big fucking mixer and all these effects units. But no Joe Blogs can actually afford this shit. So you're learning on basic decks or whatever like the older model is.
Yeah,
And then you're
controllers.
being thrust in front of all this stuff that can do amazing stuff. But you don't know
You're
how
never
to
gonna
do the
learn how to
amazing
do it,
stuff,
yeah.
and you're not going to learn it on the fly in front of a crowd. But
Yeah.
guys, give me a second just to see what this new
I was
effect
always
does.
wondering what the blue one in the corner does.
He done that in our first ever gig down in was it the Shank or
Hard
the
Rangers.
Rangers, and had a diabetic attack. I didn't know what was going on, and he just forgot there's people. I said, mate, where do you hear this tune I've got? Ejected the CD and just put it in like we were sitting in a room just
I was letting him
listening
hear
to tune.
music.
I was like, Jason, we're DJing
I don't
here."
remember this, like, but that's it. Well, John, we'll get you down because you have to go to the club. Thanks very much for doing this. So
No,
Have
it's
you-
all
have you
good. I'd
anything you
love to
wanna
come
plug?
back again.
I know how do we monk, but it is genuinely making music and playing music to people is the best.
Yeah,
thing
I
in
mean,
the
it's
world.
like
Yeah.
it is the best job in the world, but it's like I almost think that it's like kind of like therapy to kind of like sit down and
Vent.
talk
Yeah.
about the ups and the downs.
Well,
of
that's it.
like-
Everyone
like a
thinks.
proper chat about it.
Everyone thinks it's all sunshines and rainbows.
Yeah,
but
and
it's
I do
not.
think it's important to kind of talk about. I know it's like nobody wants to hear somebody with the best job in the world moan about it, but at the same time, is social media, especially from a DJ's point of view, we've just talked about it. It's all the glitz and glamour, and it's like
Yeah.
and you envy and everything
It's
about
the
it.
fake lifestyle.
But it's like, I had like I've been away for like 10, 11 days now. It's like I go home tomorrow. I called my 3-year-old son on FaceTime and he wouldn't talk to me the other day. Like normal, every other day he'd been fine. That day he was like, he wouldn't talk to me. He was just like looking away. And then eventually looked at the camera and he went, "Come home, Daddy."
All right, 'cause he's missing you.
And it's like, and then,
It
that
is.
stab
Yeah.
in the heart
Yeah.
is,
Like,
Ah,
okay,
Yeah.
fuck you, Belfast. I
Well-
played you bastards enough over the years.
Well, thanks very much, John. Really
all
do
good. It's great
appreciate
to be
doing
down.
it.
Thanks
and,
for having me. I'll
let's
come
do it
again
ag-
soon.
let's
Next
do
time
it
I'm in.
again.
Next
Yes,
time I'm
hopefully.
in.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, John.
Perfect. Cheers.